So colorism to me is, I think, the comparison between two skin tones within the community. So what exactly is colorism? Colorism, to start off, is like the discrimination of people with darker skin tones, and it's kind of like the fetishization or like the uplifting of people with lighter skin tones. But don't get it twisted, because it does affect both communities. Brown skins, and like the comparison amongst those three different shades of black people. And I think it stems off of slavery, how like, you know, the darker people used to work in the fields, and like the people who are light or considered biracial, aka mulatto.
Who works in the field and who works in the house. We're also talking about rape, the rape of slaves to produce people who are known as mulattoes or mixed race. These standards of beauty travel. Eurocentric standards of beauty travel.
In the Dominican society and our culture, they have a phrase that's like mejorando la raza, advancing the Dominican population and making sure we're going into how they say the better. If you're lighter, you're bettering the race and you're bettering the island, versus if you're just being you.
Definitely still a misunderstanding of dark skin. I recently had a makeup artist say to me, oh, well, you know, your skin can take anything, it's so tough.
It's like if you look at places like India or Africa, they have like, I'm pretty sure it's an $8 billion industry where they use skin lightening products.
Family. The darker you are, the more you experience discrimination against your skin color. The lighter you are from these communities, the more beautiful you are. As a result of that, you will see people using skin lighting products, buying skin lighting products to change their skin color because they want to fit in.
For example, the black community, there's always been something, like a competition amongst dark skins versus light skin, and sometimes they want to throw in brown skins, and like the comparison amongst those three different shades of black people. Putting down the people who are of darker complexions. So where exactly does colorism start from? Colorism, its origins start from Europe. So European beauty standards, everybody is always trying to come closer to the beauty standard, which is European-centric beauty standards. So it's people with slimmer nose and like the biggest one, lighter skin. So the whole thing with colorism is the more closer you are to whiter or light complexion, your proximity to whiteness, therefore you're more accepted in society.
They compared me to the color of a paper bag and said that I was too chocolate and too dark chocolate for him, and he couldn't date me. And I said, what the hell? I literally was like, what does that mean? And I came home and I talked to my mama T about it, and she said, that's a definition of colorism.
The color of somebody's skin, the shade of somebody's skin, is a concern from literally the day they're born. Lighter means beautiful, darker means unattractive. And it was everywhere. It was in the movies we'd watch, which were Bollywood movies. They were always beautiful, light-skinned people who were the stars of these movies. We used to have horrible names for some of our extended family members who were darker skinned. We'd refer to somebody as Cocoa Pops, or they eat too much chocolate, and that's how they got darker skinned. There was chit chat about this person might not get married, or will you be able to get a good job? That was a conversation that was ever present in my life.
Colorism, it's two things. So I would say like back, if we're thinking about like the whole like purpose or like the beginning of colorism, it's to fit into your Eurocentric beauty standards. So if you think about Eurocentric beauty standards, it's like literally people of European descent. So like white skin, slim nose, small lips, like just this one kind of like idea of like how a person should look like. But that's the problem, because as humans, that's what makes us human.
She's pretty for a dark-skinned girl.
Their parents will call me negro, which means black in Spanish.
It's been an open secret for generations.
There's this like fetishization of light skin.
It was always black or white. You know, don't get too black.
Colorism, prejudice based on skin tone, and a preference for light skin over dark. The unfortunate phenomenon spread across all groups of color.
Within Asian Americans, this model minority mindset to distance yourself from other people of color. by like positing yourself as like the most like hardworking and law-abiding minority.
Say that they prefer light skins because it's their preference. They like to degrade dark skins and be like, oh well, dark skins they have nappy hair, and dark skins, you know, you could barely see.
The last decade. You could probably come up with dozens of names, including Alicia Keys, Sierra, Mariah Carey, Jhené Aiko, and of course, Beyonce. But can you name even 5 deeply melanated female pop stars? I mean, we did have Brandy as Cinderella.
Colorism is the unfair treatment of people in a certain, like in a particular race because they're darker. I don't really see colorism happening to light people, like lighter skinned people. But I know that darker skinned people, a lot of darker skinned people face colorism. But I'm not saying that the colorism doesn't happen to light skinned people, but I know that most people who are targeted with colorism are people who are darker skinned.
Or dark skinned women that are present and working, the better, you know, and I think it's about there being a change in the demographic behind the camera as well.
Absolutely.
You know? And that's how then things will truly change.
You know, growing up watching TV, you didn't see girls that, you didn't see like you do now. You didn't see girls that look like me, the heavy side and a dark-skinned woman. If you did see them, they wasn't the lead role. They wasn't the love interest. They wasn't none of that, you know? So, I don't know, I just felt that being my skin color or darker was just ugly.
For me, I had the Cosby Show, so I saw a beautiful Felicia Rashad. I had good times, so I saw a beautiful, in her character, Florida Evans, and this beautiful African-American man love what is probably a very unique character in Florida Evans because she wouldn't make it on TV now. In my opinion, I don't think you would see Esther Roll getting a leading part like that, but you saw this. Doesn't matter what you look like, you're just beautiful. So I was like, go Florida, you know, go Claire Huxtable. You even saw that going into even the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But then that was that shift between the black Vivian and the white, or the light-skinned Vivian. And so everyone was like, what happened to the Vivian? What happened to the new Vivian?
Well, you're darker than me. You look more like a monkey.
As Latinos, it's hard to find your place in this world, let alone the industry. And in my case, there were lots of times I wasn't white enough. But in Gina's case, she wasn't Latina enough or black enough.
And in the Latin world, they weren't seeing me either.
At all.
At all. It was like, oh, we love Gina. Gina's great, but she's not really right for, they're going another way, or they're, you know, and the other way was always like that European standard.
Latin person, basically a white passing Latino.
Yeah, preferably with an accent so that there's no confusion.
Right.
Coming into the industry and facing like what felt like complete erasure.
Right. Wow. Many Latin American countries have large black communities, and in the U.S. alone, there are about 6 million adults that identify as Afro-Latino. But Hollywood isn't writing Afro-Latino roles or casting Afro-Latino actors. I mean, get this, in a recent analysis of the 1,300 top-grossing films from 2007 to 2019, only 6 lead roles were held by Afro-Latinos.
Discriminates based on skin color.
A cohesive, dark-skinned black family.
Why can't black women in all shades and all forms just be beautiful and it not be up for debate in that way?
We need continuous progress, and we need all the colors of Asian America represented in Hollywood because that's just who we are.
You're pretty. So are you. My grandma says you're always pretty. It's lying in the paper bag. What about Donnie? His skin's too dark. Get that thing away from me.
For example, colorism has been shown in popular cartoons like The Proud Family. Colorism a lot in like movies and TV shows that I've been watching.
I'm insecure, and I really thought, am I not beauty? Like, do I not fit the beauty standard?
Think about studies that show that women of lighter skin tones get complimented more in general in a range of things than women of, or young girls of darker skin tones. So if you're talking about even just in the school setting, you have two young girls who both do a great job. They both get A's on something, let's say, and the young woman who is of a lighter skin tone gets complimented and commended more. That's where your self-esteem comes from. That's what you start to believe. And how often are you reinforcing things and that you may not even realize you're reinforcing?
I remember in, I would say 9th grade, I thought like, what if it just wasn't here? It'd just be easier. But like, the only thing that got me through that was like my mom telling me and my friends, especially Kamaya, just like being there and having someone to talk to. It just made me think like I can't leave them, because it keeps me like coming to school every day and like keeps like that smile on my face sometimes.
It's painful.
It is. Because it shouldn't happen to anyone. We shouldn't have to hate ourselves because of the color of our skin. And the fact that I had to talk one of my best friends out of not wanting to be like that because the color of our skin, about the fact that we're just so bad. It's not right. You have to love yourself and love the others around you and know that you're gonna be okay. And you have to stay strong.
Since when did you become dark skinned?
I'm not dark, but I'm dark enough.
Not as dark as me. No one in this family is as dark as me. That's the problem.
It's not a problem. The fact that you're different is a good thing.
If it's so good, then why are you all so scared to talk about it? Like today, you're saying that it's about the camera lighting or complexion. No, it's about me being darker.
Well, it's a complicated issue, but Diane, all black skin is beautiful.
Yes.
Okay. So then why do people bleach their skin?
How many people do that?
It's like a $10 billion business.
Diane, I had no idea that this hurt you so much.
How could it not?
Colorism for me, it's not been too many times that I've experienced colorism, but every time I kind of have experienced colorism, it's like, it's really stuck with me. So I could say most of the snarky comments about colorism did come from boys. I haven't really experienced colorism from girls, but it has come from boys, and every time it has been a boy the same race as me, a fellow black boy. I remember the first time I really experienced colorism was when I was in 4th grade, and then I remember it was like a friend group, and we were all at the music. We were all in music class, we was playing the flutes as the 4th graders do, and then this boy told me that my skin was too dark. And I remember in that moment, I just felt really, really awful, and that was just a feeling that I never wanted to feel again. And my second experience with colorism was from another boy again, but this time it was when I was the first experience happened when I lived in America. But the second experience happened when I was living in Ghana back home. And I remember it was a boy again, and he was telling me, he was like, you're really, really pretty, and I really like you, but I'd like you more if your skin was lighter. And I was just, I didn't really care like that, because at that time I had kind of I had developed self-love. But I was just thinking, what's the fascination? What's wrong with having darker skin? And I really don't understand it when it comes from people who are the same race as me. I do feel like those statements were quite disrespectful, because their mothers are also, their mothers are their family members, their female family members, or women family members, sorry about that, are also the same complexion as me, or probably even a darker complexion as me. So I feel like not only is that disrespectful towards me, but it's also disrespectful towards their family members. So I just kind of wish that as a community, kids could be educated that there's nothing wrong with having darker skin, because you know sometimes it's internalized. Sometimes they grow up hearing it at home, or like people around them make them think that lighter skin is better than darker skin, and that's not true. We're all equal. So I just feel like people, especially people like young black kids in the black community growing up, I wish that I hope that in the future the ones that are coming up, and even the people now, they're taught that there's nothing wrong with having darker skin. You're still beautiful for having darker skin, and darker skin does not make you less than. Just because somebody has lighter skin doesn't mean that they're better than a person.
Something about having dark skin on a woman's body that shapes the way she moves through the world. There's something about having darker skin on a male body that shapes the way in which he moves through the world. It has real life stakes.
From what I've seen growing up, dark skin equates to being poor, dirty, ratchet.
They tend to be the bad guys in Tyler Perry movies, straight from the border.
That doesn't even make any sense. I'm not deemed as beautiful, therefore I am not beautiful. And those two are not really mutually exclusive.
Could it be that something as early as colonization or slavery is primarily responsible for our beauty standard?
To me, colorism is the discrimination against people of darker skin color in the communities.
I sell skin bleaching cream. Pretty controversial, I know, but I do have negative comments. People saying you hate yourself, you wish you were white, but I don't really listen to it. I really don't care. I guess how society sees dark women, like we're basically the losing team. Like who wants to be on the losing team?
You know, the goal is to end colorism, racism. I feel like you changing your skin tone is just feeding into the cycle. And also I think making money off of that is very kind of shady.
And some people just personally feel like they look better lighter, just like some people feel like they look better with makeup on.
I also don't think we can just ignore that there's such a terrible history